What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Neo Mushroom channel. Welcome back if you've been here before. We're playing Modern on Magic the Gathering Online. We're going to play a League. And today's deck, you actually saw me play in paper. There's a link right in that direction. You can click on it if you want to see this deck played in paper against specifically the mono black Necrodominance deck. But it is a counter frog deck. It's a very tempo-y frog deck that goes all in on the frog and uses the One Ring to support the frog. We're playing literally every free spell that I think you can play in Modern besides Commandeer. We've got Flare of Denial, we've got Force of Negation, we've got Subtleties, and then we're also playing Counterspell and Sink into Stupor and Spell Snare. And then we're playing 4 Fatal Push, a single copy of Drown, Sheoldred Edict, and Cling to Dust, and then Tamiyos and Psychic Frogs are how we're going to be trying to win the game. The Tamiyo can draw half your deck with its ult, which is a little bit easier to get off than you would think. And then the frog can become just the largest attacker you've ever seen. This deck is very all-in. I'm really interested to see how this deck feels into a bunch of decks, because I think that this deck probably has a pretty good matchup against a deck like Mono Black that wants to do one thing at a time, hold for its scam games, and you can just one-for-one interact with them and then kill them with Frog. I want to see how it works here. Also, there's some cool cards in the sideboard, like we're playing Harbinger of the Seas because we've got a bunch of basics, so we can try to like steal games that way. And then more Permission, Toxic Deluge, Bowmasters for opposing ring decks and stuff. That's all you should need to know. Let's hop into a Modern League. All right, we found a round 1 opponent, and they're on the play, unfortunately. This deck really wants to be on the play. That's where it plays its best magic. Most decks are like that, but this one with all the free permission gets insane. They did not reveal a companion, it doesn't look like. And we have Tamiyo plus Archaeologist. We can Force of Negation to protect the Tamiyo. We're going to keep this. It's not our best type of opener, but this is a solid 7, so we'll keep. Ooh, Devourer of Destiny enters the revealed card zone. So it looks like we're going to be playing against some version of Eldrazi, making me just wish I had kept a Psychic Frog. Because Psychic Frog's super good against these Eldrazi decks, especially when you can protect all your cards with free counter magic. So game 1 might go rough, but Consign to Memory is super helpful, as is Harbinger of the Seas. All right, here's an Uggin's Labyrinth. Hopefully they don't try to chalice to someone. If they do, we're going to have to force it, because we need this Tamiyo in play. They put the Devourer under the Uggin's Labyrinth, which makes plenty of sense. It's a Talisman of Impulse. We could also force that. I'm not certain that that's the correct thing to do, but it seems kind of fine if they didn't keep any colored mana. Let's go ahead and go for this. Very unclear as to whether or not this is correct, but this Sink into Stupor might be tough, so we're going to force that and go to our turn. One Ring, solid draw. Here's a Tamiyo. We just hope that this Fallaji Archaeologist spins into a Flare of Denial, and we're going to feel pretty good. If they play Trinisphere, we're going to feel pretty bad. Gemstone Caverns, no colored mana things, pass to us. Cool. Let's go to combat first. Beat for 0, but get a clue. Hiya. Go to our second main phase. Play, I guess we'll just shock in Watery Grave. I like having access to colored mana. Go blue, and play Fallaji Archaeologist. Trigger the Archaeologist, flip 3, and we find a Flare of Denial to go to our hand. Yay. All right, your turn, opponent. I have Counterspell up. Looks like they're not doing anything, telling me that Force of Negationing their green source was a heads-up play. Draw another One Ring, sure. We'll play lands, we'll go to combat, we will attack with the Tamiyo. Hiya. Make a clue, attack for 0. Our clock is not very good at the moment with our 0/3 creatures, but at the end of their turn, provided we don't need to do anything important, we'll just crack a clue, try to hit our 4th land drop, and that'll be pretty sweet. You're up, opponent. There's a Cavern of Souls. That's a little bit, uh-oh. Please don't be Sowing Mycospawn. Well, I guess they can't kick it, so it's not the worst. Okay, there's a Sowing Mycospawn, so that just happens. They get Grove of the Burn Willows, probably just so they can have their, like, green source in play. This is probably the Eldrazi Through the Breach deck. So as much as I hate the Mycospawn, we can probably stop them from Through the Breaching us. We go to end step. I'm going to crack a clue. Come on, land. We need it. We found it. How lucky. Draw this. 3rd copy of the One Ring. Will shock in the Watery Grave. We'll get busy for 0. Hiya. Make a clue. And we'll go to our second main where we're going to drop our One Ring. Hiya. Get protection, draw a card, and pass. They go to combat. They probably don't swing. They swing anyway. Doesn't really matter too much. I have protection from every single thing. All right, go to end step. Cool. Me on tap, me take life, me draw. It's a Psychic Frog. It's exactly what we needed. We'll go to combat. We will just attack for 0 first to get our 3rd clue before we flip Tamiyo using the ring, which is just what happens. And then draw 2 cards. Tamiyo triggers and flips over. Take this Tamiyo up. We will play Undercity Sewers tapped, I think is fine. Yeah, play this tapped. Surveil. Subtlety is actually not bad. We're going to leave that on top. You know what? Maybe not. Maybe that's actually just like medium. And we've got so many cards, maybe I do want a Subtlety, just in case I need to like pitch cast it and hold priority and use it to flare. I will just leave it on top. And then here comes the good old frog. And then that's it, opponent, you're up. Talisman of Impulse. This is like the ideal time to just use this Spell Snare, so I will. I can't think of anything else I'll get to use it on. If they go to attack, we're going to be blocking with Psychic Frog. I'm going to pump the crap out of it. Do they see it? I can't imagine there's a big trick for it. Okay, trigger Tamiyo. It's a 2/3. Frog, can you deal with this frog? I just don't think so. Discard the One Ring to the frog. Discard, let's do Sink into Stupor to the frog. Go to blocks, block your Sowing Mycospawn. Kill it. Okay, what now? It was a weird attack. All right, Migo. I'll take 2 to the ring, drop to 13. Ouch. Draw that Subtlety off the top. Take this Tamiyo. You know, we're not going to do anything with Tamiyo yet. We're going to draw 3 cards. I think we do want land number 6, but we're going to stop playing lands after that. Then we will go to combat, attack for 3. And then before damage, I think we'll lose the Flooded Strand just to make it 4. All right, pitch. 1 Flooded Strand. Please take 4 damage. Me draw off the frog. It's a Polluted Delta. We're probably also going to pitch that to the frog later. We'll tick up this Tamiyo and continue to just chill out. Oop, there's a forest. We've got 6 lands now. They can kick them out Sowing Mycospawn now. It no longer matters. Through the Breach? Absolutely not. We will do, I guess we'll draw a card first. All right, and then we will, do I want to hold up my mana? Yeah, I think we do. We'll just Flare of Denial by sacrificing Archaeologist. Target the Through the Breach. Sack this Archaeologist. No thank you. Migo? I need to do some math just to make sure I can't like kill my opponent here. They're going to take 4 plus 5 off the card I draw for turn. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. If I play this Subtlety, my opponent dies, I believe. I think they're just dead. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7. Then I untap and draw. Also take 3 to the ring. It's a counterspell. So I've got 4, 5. Let's draw these cards to the ring before I start counting, actually. Cool. I've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We'll skip this. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I can hold it counterspell and attack for 16. That seems quite good. Okay, do I want to buy back like another form of permission? No, that seems stupid. Let's just go to combat. Attack for 7. Let him go to blocks. All right, let's start discarding my entire hand of the Psychic Frog. The only card I'm concerned with is Null Elemental Blast. So that is the one that I'm going to play around by holding this counterspell. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Hey, dude, this is 16 damage. What do we think about that? Cool. All right, game 2. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We want Consign to Memory because it deals with not only the creatures they can play in the Run Ring, but it also deals with the abilities of the creatures that come into play. Notably, it can't actually counter Through the Breach, but we've got plenty more to handle all that stuff. We're playing 2 Harbinger of the Seas because they play so many non-basics and they need their colors. And we're going to bring in another Force of Negation to help protect us from the Through the Breach turns when we want to extend and not hold up a bunch of mana. We're taking out 4 Push because they're whack. We're taking out a Cling to Dust because it doesn't make any sense. And we're cutting 1 Spell Snare. I like that it can counter talismans and stuff sometimes, but on the draw, that's going to come up less, especially considering they can play it on turn 1 on the play. So that's what we're going to do. Let's go to game 2. Okay, this opener looks pretty rough. I've got 1 land, no modal double face cards. I do have the Harbinger. It's just not enough. So after our opponent decides, we're going to take a mulligan for sure. They begin with 7. Hate to see that. Mulligan. This hand has Harbinger as well. We've got Force of Negation, 3 lands, Archaeologist. I think we're primed to keep this pretty much every time. The question is, what do we cut? I think we're planning to try to draw into land number 3. I think it's safe to cut the Flooded Strand. We've got Fallaji into Flare. We've got Force of Negation if we need it. If they go turn 1 rock, we might force it again. We'll have to see what they do. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure we're supposed to force it just because like if Harbinger's our plan, we don't want them to have any colored mana at all. Eldrazi Temple, nothing. Cool. We draw another Force. That's fine. We'll play Polluted Delta, Planet to Surveil, Cripul's Forest. All right, there's a Talisman. We do want to deal with this. I think we'll pitch, maybe we pitch Force to Force. That seems fine. Counter the Talisman, pitching Force. All right, Migo. Now, notably, I'm not fetching for a black here, but I care about blue so much. Hopefully we can find our black eventually, but we want to actually just make our 3rd land drop more than anything else. So we'll go Undercity Sewers, Trigger, Surveil, Force of Negation number 2 actually seems kind of fine, but the Fallaji Archaeologist can't hit land, so I think we just gotta put it into the graveyard. It can hit land, but it has to be Sink into Stupor. There's our land, we found it. Here's our land, and here is our Fallaji Archaeologist. All right, Trigger, we don't get anything. There goes one of our basic swamps, that's actually tough. But on the bright side, we've got a Flare of Denial. I think this Harbinger of the Seas probably keeps our head above water for like a long time. Grove of the Burn Willows. Yeah, they're not doing anything, so I think I'm just supposed to jam Harbinger. Not being able to find Black Source is definitely a bummer, but that's kind of the only thing we've got going on. So we'll go Shock, Harbinger. Put them on the good old 7-turn clock. And we've obviously got Flare for if they want to jam the One Ring or something, so that's pretty good too. Looks like they're tapping for 4. What is this, Kozilek's command? Okay, you've made mana. Here's my Harbinger. I'm going to combat. Are we doing command? I think we do have to flare that. Well, I guess they can't. They can hit our Fallaji Archaeologist. No, we have to flare that because we're never going to sack Harbinger to flare. That's going to put us in a tough spot. So we'll counter the Kozilek's command by sacrificing Fallaji Archaeologist. All right, you're up, opponent. If they jam a ring, we probably just die anyway. All right, there's their One Ring. Very sick copy of the One Ring. We're going to continue to play the game out. I don't think this warrants a concession, because if they struggle to find any way to make colored mana, they could just die to their own ring. Also, I just found my One Ring. Boop, 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 boop. One Ring. What if we both One Ringed? All right, you are, I'm not going to attack, so you're up. Take 1 to your ring. You know, in game 3, it might make sense to trim that last Spell Snare and maybe bring in like Orcish Bowmaster. Intellectually, I know this is a One Ring matchup, but I'm always so freaked out about the Through the Breach part of the deck that I forget the One Ring exists. They draw 2, tap for blue. I like blue. Dismember, that's quite good. Forgot about that. What you gonna do now? Ancient Stirring? Sure. Ulamog the Defiler enters the reveal card zone. Uh-oh. Ugin's Labyrinth. We're gonna exile Ulamog to it. Already have another spell to exile. All is dust. Makes sense. All right, Migo. Take 1 to ring. Ouch. Consign to Memory is pretty sweet. We'll draw 2. Flare of Denial is also pretty sweet. We'll get a Polluted Delta into play, and we will pass the turn. They take 2 to their One Ring. Cavern of Souls is not great for us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They can't quite cast Ula, though. Talisman of Impulse. I'm not going to interact with that one. There's a Through the Breach. They could have Veil here, but I need to interact anyway. Blue, blue, blue. Flare the Through the Breach. All right, they didn't have it. Great. Ancient Stirring? Sure. So this is going to be a tough game for us to win. I think we actually have to resolve another Harbinger in order to pull ahead at all. So what we'll do is we'll fetch with the Polluted Delta to get our basic swamp, because there's one more in the deck. And then we'll fetch with Flooded Strand, because I believe we still have another Undercity Sewers in the deck as well. And we're going to try to set up Finding Harbinger and multiple pieces of permission, and trying to let them rot under their own One Ring, I think, is our game plan now. There's another One Ring that they just revealed off Ancient Stirrings. We probably don't want to let that resolve. Let's go get Swamp. There's our Swamp. And then let's go get Undercity. There it is. Show me what's on top. It's a Subtlety. That's a cool card. I do not want it, I don't think. Subtlety, no, Subtlety is interesting because if they don't have a Through the Breach, I can actually Subtlety the Ulamog and start to race them. That's actually kind of cool. We'll take a draw step. We'll take 2 to our One Ring, and we're going to go up to 6 cards in hand. Okay, we don't quite find the thingy we want, but we find cards. We're never going to sack this One Ring because we're bleeding out to it slower than they are. Then we're going to jam our Tamiyo, Inquisitive Student. And if they go to Through the Breach, we'll consign the Ulamog's trigger and then Sheoldred's Edict the Ulamog, which seems kind of cool. They're at 9. The thing we'd really like them to not do is deploy a second One Ring, but what can we do? Looks like they're going for the Ulamog. Okay, when you cast a spell, target opponent exiles the top half of their library rounded up. What do I have left? 35? I don't care about that. So let's fetch now, just like so they can't take out all of my fetchable targets. We'll get an island. And then let's go ahead and Subtlety the Ulamog. I don't really care about your ability. You can exile half my deck if you want. I just want your Ulamog out of here. All right, Ulamog triggers. I lose 17 cards. Okay, and you do nothing else. Very cool. Let's see, I attack you for 3. You're going to take more damage. Where'd they put that Ulamog? On top. So we've got some play here. All right, let's untap, draw, take 3, go to 10. It's a Flooded Strand. Let's, I guess let's go to combat first and attack with both. That way we can get the treasure or the clue before we flip the Tamiyo. Beep, beep. You go to 6. I'll draw 4. And then Tamiyo flips. All right, we've got Drown in the Loch's not very good, but Sink into Stupor seems fine. That's going to counter the Ulamog. We'll play Polluted Delta. And yeah, I think the game's actually wrapped up. I'm surprised we were able to win through that. It looked tough for us at first, but drawing our own One Ring really saved our ass, huh? All right, you go to 3. Cast your Ulamog, exile 6 cards. I will Sink into Stupor the Ulamog. You will lose the game. Although I'd be kind of shocked if they played Ulamog here. They'd just die, right? To their own ring. Devourer of Destiny. Exiling my Subtlety? What if I consign that ability and then just like counter the One Ring with Drown in the Loch? That seems fine, right? Cast, counter this cast trigger. Okay, you have a Devourer of Destiny. That sure doesn't have reach, even though it looks like it should. Draw 3 cards with the One Ring, that is fine. Now we don't need to do anything. We just need to let them not resolve another One Ring, which we have on lock in our hand. Another One Ring? How about you stop doing that? No. Okay, easy round 1 win. I imagine this has to be one of our best matchups though, so that's not really saying very much. Let's get into round 2. All right, we're at round 2. We lost the die roll again, and this definitely isn't the next day because I started recording yesterday too late, and guy got home and we had to record some pre-modern for you. That actually did happen. If everything went right, the first pre-modern game should actually be out. And just a little reminder, the way we're releasing the pre-modern content, just because pre-modern is more of a niche format, and it does kind of do strange things to me algorithmically when I release, you know, too much not modern or not pioneer on the main channel, is when we record, we'll do it like modern, paper modern, where we record 3 videos with 1 deck versus, you know, a different deck each time. So this time we did Psychotog. For this one, I'm going to release the first game, which should already be out by the time you're watching this video, and then the second Psychotog game, and the third one is going to be patron exclusive. And then moving forward, I think what we're going to do is between 3 and 4 game sets, and either the last 1 or the last 2 will always be patron exclusives, so keep that in mind. Let's look at this opener, and it is dookie. We technically do have 1 land in the form of this Sink into Stupor, but we can't cast our Fatal Pushes off of it. We don't have any threats, so this is just tough. We're gonna mulligan. This hand has a Tamiyo, an Archaeologist, 2 frogs, push, and a ring. We're a 1 land hand. I think we have to keep this. We're not going to 6. We're hoping to just draw the land, and we're probably just gonna turn 1 Tamiyo, so the redundant frog isn't doing us a lot of favors. Our best draw for the next 2 turns is like buy a lot, land number 2. All right, let's do it. Darkslick Shores, please don't play a Tamiyo. Preordain, that's totally fine. Maybe this is blue-black Frogtide. I'm not sure whether that's a good or bad matchup for us. We're like a similar deck, but we're different enough. We don't have Murktides, we're using the ring. It's probably harder to resolve the ring than Murktide itself. Much more expensive. Flare of Denial is kind of a good pickup here. We still really need to find land number 2, and I cannot get a Surveil land because I want to put this 1-drop into play, but we'll see what happens. Tamiyo, here you go. Go ahead. Tap for a blue, preordain number 2. Yeah, preordain number 2. Maybe they're looking for land too. It's kind of a weird sequence to go preordain. Unless they like already have the push and they're looking for a land, or they have the land and now they need a fatal push or something. Misty Rainforest, Fetch Shock. Misty Rainforest, nothing. We'll at least get the clue off the Tamiyo now that we can crack it without a land. Ooh, we drew. So I should have specified I wanted an on-tap land, but we'll take it. We'll go to combat first. Get busy for 0. Beep. They must not have the removal, otherwise it would just be like correct to kill the Tamiyo, I think. Giving me redraws for later in the game can't be a good idea. Then we'll go Undercity Sewers, and to be honest, I think we're kind of looking for Force of Negation is our greatest possible card to have on top. Sink into Stupor is actually not bad. It's gonna double as a land drop. That's probably what we're gonna wind up doing with it. We can go Sink into Stupor. If they play like a frog or something, we can go Sink into Stupor and double spell Fatal Push plus creature. And if not, it's a pitch card for later. Although we are certainly playing this as a land, just because it if we leave this on top, we're not gonna have another land drop for the turn after. But that's fine. We'll leave this on top. I think this is totally fine, and we'll pass the turn. They fetch. I have to imagine they get Undercity Sewers. That's what I would do if I were them. There it is. They just been to Spell Snare, which I don't know what that means. You have to imagine Spell Snare is one of your better cards in this matchup. My hand literally has 2 2-drops. And they're both really good. Scalding Tarn, sure. Fetch with Tarn. Are we getting Murky? Murky plus Spell Pierce would be quite good. There's a Murktide. If they have a Spell Pierce, it is what it is. I can't just let this Murktide resolve though. I am going to make an attempt to counter the Murktide. If they have Spell Pierce, that's just the way it is. All right, they don't have Spell Pierce. That's pretty good. Now, they probably have another Spell Snare, given that they've been this Spell Snare, unless their line was like to rush that Murktide out and they needed it for power and toughness. But I think we will go, we'll play the, you know, we don't have a 1-drop. We have Fatal Push. I think we still need to shock this or bolt this into play. We'll play Sporific Springs. We could get Frog into play, but I think I'd rather get the Archaeologist into play. I want to see if I can find another free counterspell or some type of, maybe another Springs to get this 1 ring going. I just want to like cast something. And they do have the Spell Snare, so I'm very glad that I didn't play my Frog into it. We pass. All right, no land drop. Looks like they're going to pass through their phases. If they don't do, if I draw land, I might deploy the Frog. I'm not going to deploy Ring into all this open mana. A second Frog's interesting. Maybe I push with the Frog. I could also crack my Clue here. Try to make my land drop since they missed theirs. I think that actually makes like an amount of sense to me. Let's crack this Clue. Orcish Bowmaster, that can come into play. I'm going to push the Bowmaster. Happy to force the action here. If they have Spell Pierce now, it's going to kind of suck, but what can you do? Force of Negation Pitchcast. Okay, that's interesting. They only have 2 in hand now. Me draw. I did get the land, so that's not nothing. We might be on forcing through Ring next turn, or like forcing it. By forcing it, I mean just hard casting it into their open mana, because they, what did they pitch to the Force of Negation? Looks like they got rid of a counterspell, so that's telling. Flooded Strand, they're down to 2 in hand. Attack for 3, I'll go to 9. All right, Migo. Here's a Spell Snare. I can snare a Counterspell and force a frog through, and then I can try to play the One Ring behind the frog, give myself protection so the Bowmaster can't like ping me. That could be a little bit better. So let's try that. I need blue and black, not blue and blue. Frog, Counterspell. Okay, here's my Spell Snare. They're down to 1 in hand. Me have frog. Me have frog. Now we're not really interested in attacking with this frog right away because we have the we have an issue, and it's Orcish Bowmaster. But I think the frog's just going to be a better blocker than attacker for the time being. Now, if they attack with their 2/2 orc army, I think that tells us that they could have a second Orcish Bowmaster, which would be problematic. Because then they could, we block with frog, they play Orcish Bowmaster, put point on frog, we can't grow a frog out of dying to the orc army token. And I think the orc army token lives through that combat as well. So if they attack with just the orc army, we might have to suck it up. But they don't, so I don't think they have second Bowmaster, or they're not smart enough to know about that play. We take draw step, it's a swamp. No attack, they only have 2 in hand. I wonder if I'm supposed to push ring now. I don't think it's getting much better for me if I like wait to do stuff. Yeah, I think so. Let's not play swamp. I don't think my land drops are as important right now. Let's push One Ring. Pray that they've blanked on Counterspell and Force of Negation. That'd be pretty good. It's Archmage's Charm. So they charm it gets countered. I am going to not do anything. I'm going to continue to like chill. Neither of us are doing very much, and I'm the one with the Psychic Frog in play, and I can kind of control when I draw cards, so that's how we're going to play this game for the time being. Of course, one good top deck from our opponent, and it gets really, really tricky. But they're just playing draw go as well. Me draw, Subtlety, that's pretty good. I'll go through combat. I'm not going to attack. I'm not going to play the land either. I will hold up the Subtlety, though. They try to play a Murktide or something. The Subtlety gets around cards like Spell Pierce and Spell Snare, so that's pretty good. They play Polluted Delta. Sure, they're still at 2 in hand. I'll keep drawing. The more cards I have in my hand, the crazier my Psychic Frog gets. Force of Negation is quite good. I think, is there a chance we want to drop this Swamp now? I don't think so. No, maybe I want to drop Swamp plus play Psychic Frog to kind of clog the board up in a big way. But I like Psychic Frog pitching to Force of Negation. So what we'll do actually is I will get this land onto my hand. I'm starting to think I'm going to want to have at least 6 mana in the mid game if we make it that far. Again, we're only like 1 good top deck from our opponent from being in a little bit of trouble. But I want the opportunity to play land number 6 and have like double interaction up for the rest of the game, like Subtlety plus Counterspell, stuff like that. Because I don't want to go down a card to Subtlety my opponent. I would much prefer to hardcast the Subtlety. It's not close. Fetch for tapped. Nope, fetch for island. Got it. That's 2 islands. I wonder if they're going to be a Harbinger of the Seas deck. Tap for 3, play Archmage's Charm. I would like to counter that. No, please do not. Do you have a Counterspell? Rats, opponent has a Counterspell. Okay, you get to Divination at instant speed, go up to 3 in hand. In this matchup, we're really going to want to get under our opponent, so being on the play is like huge. Fatal Push, all right, Psychic Frog's down. They attack, we're going to deploy another Psychic Frog. We go to 6, sure. Migo, land. Flare of Denial, not the worst. I can hard cast it in a pinch. Here's another Psychic Frog. All right, go. Tap for black to Fatal Push. I will hard cast the Flare here, hoping they don't have more interaction. No, please don't. Ooh, found Force of Negation. They found a little bit more permission than we did. Now, this is a 2-turn clock. We're still going to keep playing the game. If they're dead drawing and I can like flash and Subtlety to block the Orcish Bowmaster token, and then have Subtlety in front of Orcish Bowmaster, we still have some outs. Tamiyo solid, because we can deploy that now, and then pass the turn. This is good, because Tamiyo's got 0 power, so they're probably incentivized to attack with both of their creatures. Now, if they have another piece of permission, I think the game ends for us. Third Fatal Push is pretty good, but I still have this Subtlety now. If they have permission, once again, we are just dead. Blue, black, blue, cast Subtlety. Trigger, target nothing. Okay, go to blocks, block the Orcish Bowmaster token. Me go to 2. Psychic Frog of your own, hate to see it, but that's fine. It can't get too big yet. Draw Polluted Delta. We'll play it. Our only out here, I think, is to draw the One Ring, followed like immediately by Fatal Push. All right, they do nothing. Why did I pass through my phases? That was weird. Shouldn't have F6'd. Drawing Counterspell isn't the worst here. I really should have cracked the Polluted Delta. I'm looking for a ring, but I can still kind of just sit tight here. You're up, opponent. At the end of this coming turn, what are they going to do here? Tap for 3 and cast Subtlety? I think you're not going to do that. Nope. A heads up play from our opponent that now that they can see we don't have our second Underground Sea in play, maybe they're supposed to like attack anyway, so I can never fetch. I'm not sure though. Murktide. All right, that's a seal in the coffin. All right, we lose game 1. What do we want to do against Murktide? Okay, here's what I think I want to do. I'm going a little bit light-handed. I could see cards like the 4th Force of Negation or 3 Stern Scoldings being pretty good. I'm going to forego those. I'm on the play, so I want to be as aggressive as possible, get bodies in play, have counter magic up. I'm bringing in the Bowmasters to fight their Bowmasters. In addition, they also play cards like Preordained and Archmage's Charm. Seems pretty good. Mystical Dispute is going to counter every meaningful spell in their deck. Seems very good as well. I'm going to cut 2 Counterspell just because that card's a little bit clunky. Their converted mana cost and mine are both so low that Counterspells are kind of clunky. They also just play right into Spell Snares. Drown in the Loch is like is fine, but they're playing Murktide, so their graveyard can become empty at a moment's notice, and you can never drown a Murktide. Sheoldred's Edict, they have just enough creatures where I can't reliably kill a Murktide with Edict, and Fatal Push, I'll probably bring it back in on the draw, but on the play, I want to get on the board and make them the reactive deck, so that's how we're going to sideboard. All right, we take the play. We want something aggressive-ish. Creatures, things. Tamiyo into Orcish Bowmasters with a Flare of Denial isn't the worst start. I don't love having to sacrifice Tamiyo to Flare of Denial. But that said, like double fetch land, get the Undercity Sewers to start to set up our draws, I think it's a little bit too good to pass up. There's certain hands our opponent could open on that are going to be very good into this, but I can't pass up the turn 1 Tamiyo. And you go. The one thing this Tamiyo will not sacrifice to counter is a Fatal Push. Also, once Tamiyo flips, outside of Murktide, it's going to be very difficult for them to kill a Tamiyo. I think it's like some decks will play Blood Chief's Thirst out of the sideboard, but outside of that, blue-black just struggles a little bit to deal with Planeswalkers, which I'm into. I also don't know what my opponent's up to, so there's a chance that they're bringing in Harbinger of the Seas, thinking that maybe I'm not a Harbinger of the Seas deck. They didn't see that many basics last game. So the Polluted Delta might want to go get a basic swamp, depending on which direction this game decides to go. They play Tarn, pass to me. Okay, I'm going to play a Flooded Strand, and maybe I'm going to sneak this Psychic Frog into play. I'll attack with Tamiyo first to get the draw in. Maybe I'll wait on the Psychic Frog. If they fetch, I'll Bowmaster them. That seems pretty good. I probably should have played the Delta then, fetch for the Swamp then. I was thinking that maybe I would fetch for Undercity Sewers, but the more I look at it, the more I'm definitely doing something this turn, and I think it's Bowmaster in response to fetch with Scalding Tarn. Unless they don't fetch, in which case we'll just sit tight. They do not fetch. Heads up play. I think our opponent is on the level. They know what's going on. What is that? Shock and Watery Grave? Sure. They did bring in Blood Chief's Thirst. Okay. I think that's fine. Now I think I want to crack my clue. Use my mana. Just shock in a Watery Grave. This plays around Spell Snare, notably. So fetch. I could also Bowmaster, but I don't want to get that snared here. I want to wait a little bit longer. I really want to use my Bowmaster to take out one of my opponent's Bowmasters. So let's crack the clue, draw a card, turn that Blood Chief's Thirst on my creature into a 2-for-1 in our favor. Now I can drop the Archaeologist here. Notably, if they have Spell Snare, they can like turn around, and I don't think they can Murktide, but they can do a lot. That said, if they Spell Snare Archaeologist, pretty happy with it. So I think we're just gonna jam. One Archaeologist, please. I have Flare of Denial. They know about it, so they might actually be thinking about Spell Snare and the Archaeologist to try to force something through next turn. But I think I have to make this play, and I would love this to get Spell Snared over Psychic Frog, but they don't. So we trigger the Archaeologist, and he hits Force of Negation. Great, and then that's gonna let us go grab our We'll see what they get. If they get a basic land, I might have to fetch for Swamp. But if they get a dual land, I might just say screw it and go grab myself a Undercity Sewers. Get my Surveillance, maintain my card quality for as long as possible. Because next turn, I want to go Psychic Frog with Counterspell and Flare of Denial up, and then attempt with all my might to take over the game like that. That's a Watery Grave, so maybe they're gonna consider, sure. I thought they might push the Archaeologist just to like play around Flare of Denial. That's something I've realized kind of playing these frog decks, the counter frog decks, is like sometimes you just kill the Archaeologist because it's gonna resolve. They're not gonna sacrifice the Archaeologist to counter the kill spell. But it gets a little bit weird because if you're able to kill the Archaeologist, you can stick your opponent who's playing a deck like this with a Flare of Denial in their hand that they can just never cast. Not everyone's picked up on that yet. I think that's why this deck plays so cool right now. But if this deck does take off and wind up being one of the better decks in the format, which I'm not sure whether or not it will, I think people are going to realize that play pattern pretty quickly. There's a Psychic Frog. I think this is probably the time that I'm supposed to Flare of Denial. I don't currently have a way to kill it. I can't just let that thing exist. So we're going to sacrifice the Archaeologist to counter the frog. They pass to us. This is going to mean, yeah, we're definitely getting the Undercity Sewers. If we get Harbinger, that's just the way it is. So we go to end step, we fetch, we get Sewers, we go Frog, we hold up Counterspell, we draw any blue spell, we can hold up Force of Negation as well. So we're going to keep that in mind when we're surveilling here. Mystical Dispute can stay right on top. Me go. All right, here's an island. Here is an island and a black mana. Here's a Psychic Frog that will resolve. All right, fetch a Flooded Strand. They probably want to go Spell Pierce. Spell Snare, that's what I meant to say. Mystical Dispute, the Spell Snare. No, thank you. Do you have a Force of Negation? No? All right. I might protect my Frog from a Fatal Push. If they have Fatal Push plus Counterspell, I'm like kind of okay with them going down to 3 in hand. This does open us up, unfortunately, to Murktide, which is going to be problematic. The Murktide could be a full size here. Big old 8/8. It's just a Psychic Frog, which is kind of okay. They pass to us. We will win this Psychic Frog war. We're going to be up a card, meaning that I don't actually feel the need to float my Frog. I'll attack in with my Frog, and if they decide they want to have a discard battle, I'll just win. They can get their Frog up to a toughness of 5. I can get mine up to a power of 5. So combat, attack for 1. They do not block. Smart. I draw and card. It's the One Ring, which is like huge. I wish I had the mana to like protect it with the Mystical Dispute. I currently don't. So we're just gonna like kind of lean back on Orcish Bowmaster, flash in. So when they attack, they have to interact with the Bowmaster. I've got like 2 ways to protect my Bowmaster, so we're gonna do that. I'm also not going to get in the way of the Psychic Frog. I'll let the trigger go on the stack. You attack, we go to block, we go to damage. Psychic Frog ability on the stack, we go blue-black, here's an Orcish Bowmaster. I'll probably go all the way protecting this Orcish Bowmaster with my counter magic, because if they tap out, I'm just gonna Windmill Slam a One Ring, and then my Frog is gonna get really crazy after that. All right, Bowmaster trigger, hit face. You gotta push. I'll counterspell it. All right, you want to draw a card? All right, Bowmaster trigger, face. They go to 11. I'm feeling quite good about the texture of my hand. This looks like a Murktide. That just won't be happening. All right, there's the Murktide. They only have 2 mana up. Here is my Mystical Dispute. They're going to fetch to counterspell. I'm going to pitch cast Force of Negation and like windmill the One Ring. There's the counterspell. Here's me cast by exiling a blue card, target your counterspell, exile my counterspell. I win this war. They would have to have a Force of Negation to stop this ring. They only have 2 cards in hand, so it has to be exactly Force plus the blue pitch. And if they do have that, then I think I'm winning the race here, so it doesn't really matter too much. All right, they surveilled at the top, so we'll have to keep that in mind. All right, draw Polluted Delta. Sure, we will. The first thing I'm going to do is actually Windmill Slam the ring. Do you have Force pitch blue card? You don't. Get protection from everything. Draw and card. Spell Snare is sweet, so we're not pitching anything. We'll play Polluted Delta, go to combat, attack with everything, draw another card, take 4, trigger Frog, draw a card. Fatal Push is also great. Do we want to kill the Frog now? I don't think so. I don't think they have enough like juice to start to interact with my Fatal Push. And if they do, I have the ring, so I can just be patient. I think I might just get another Surveil in, to be honest. Go to combat. Attacking is stupid. I have protection from every single thing. Go to end step, me fetch. I'll get Undercity Sewers. Surveil. I will put that into the graveyard. Me go, or do you have something while I'm tapped out, dude? Nothing? Cool. One ring triggers. I take a point of damage. I draw a second Fatal Push. I'm going to activate the One Ring. They probably want to go Bowmaster here. I've got double push, so that's no sweat. All right, Bowmaster. We'll start by just countering the Bowmaster, though. I imagine they have a contingency for this, but then we'll just push. But if this snare works, that means they have 1 less blocker. They don't get the Orc army, so we'll give it a shot first. All right, they don't have anything for it, so I just get to keep the pushes and their Frog. I've got 3 pushes. That's so many pushes. Let's just get the Frog out of the way now that we have just infinite of these. No Frog, please. Notably, I've got 4 damage, so all I have to do is discard 2 cards to make this lethal. Might be worth doing that. Okay, we go to combat. We go beep, beep, beep. Go to blocks. Pay costs 1, 2, 3. Sink into Stupor. Target my Frog. Well, that happens. That can go back in my hand. Okay, take 3. And then I don't think they play Damnation. If they do, I guess we'll get got, but I'm playing Psychic Frog and I'm going to play Tamiyo. Here's every threat possible. Go. Preordain? Sure. Bowmaster will see that. I'll put the damage on you. Okay, we win. Going into game 3, I think our opponent's going to be able to get on the ground a lot faster. Obviously, they're just up an entire turn. So there's a good chance that we want to bring back in like this push. There's a chance that Counterspell is even worse than it would have been. So maybe I'll drop like Counterspell number 3, get Fatal Push back in my deck. Even though we drew way too many that game, we kind of drew them all at the same time, so it's no sweat. Could also be that like Stern Scolding's pretty good. I don't think I want a whole bunch of them though. I think Tamiyo on the draw is much worse. I think I'll actually lose a Tamiyo. I still want him in my deck. I just want to play one more 1 mana interaction spell for the cards like Psychic Frog and Orcish Bowmaster, and I think we'll try this. Submit. All right, on the draw, we've got a 2-lander with a built-in force, our own Orcish Bowmasters, an Archaeologist, Cling to Dust to try to slow down the whole Murktide situation, and a ring. I feel very disadvantaged in this matchup on the draw anyway, but just based on the raw power level of this hand versus their like potential best openers, I think it's fine. Cling to Dust is likely going to be something we have to do in order to slow down the Murktide turn by like a turn. But yeah, we'll keep this. We're almost certainly leading on Delta, going to get the Surveil land, and they play Flooded Strand. I wonder if they're on Tamiyo. I've been nothing but impressed by Tamiyo. Love drawing Subtlety here. We'll play Polluted Delta and pass. All right, they fetch with Strand. I wonder if they shock and consider. Nope, they just get a Surveil land. Respectable. Me too, dude. Me too. Another tapped Undercity Sewers. It smells like they're holding up Spell Snare. I might just need to play into it. They left whatever's on top. That's also interesting. Let's fetch. I wonder what that is. Maybe they're like looking for land drops. That's what I'm going to put them on. They kept a land light hand and they're just looking to make their land drops. There's a Tamiyo. Awkwardly, I don't think I can keep the Tamiyo. I am interested in keeping up on land drops for a little bit, so we'll put that in the bin. Take a draw step. It's a Fatal Push. Not the best, certainly not the worst. Let's go ahead and shock in this Watery Grave, and I am going to plan to Bowmaster them on their turn and protect it with Force of Negation. And if I have to protect it with Force of Negation, I'll pitch Archaeologist, because I may need this Subtlety to deal with a Murktide in 3 turns. And I'll just plan to draw the blue card because there's so many blue cards in our deck. All right, go to end step. Here comes the Bowmaster. Hiya, would you like to tango? I want to get as much permission out of their hand as possible because I've got a ring in my hand. So that's a Stern Scolding. I am interested in interacting. Would you like to use another piece of permission? I'm picking a fight, Yoga Liberal. Our best draw here by like a lot is land. If we don't draw land, we may cling to dust our opponent's Stern Scolding. In attempt to draw land, we do have the Fatal Push, so if they respond with a Bowmaster, we can deal with it. A runner-up prize would be drawing a blue card for the Subtlety. The beauty here is they have no clue it's in our hand, so if they have the interaction, they really have to think about why we're protecting this Bowmaster so hard and what do we want to cast next turn. But little do they know, nothing. We're just playing a reactive game for the foreseeable future of the next 2 to 3 turns. But they have no clue. They don't know that we don't just have like Frog plus another Counterspell. So they do go all the way for the fight. So we exchange resources. We go to my turn, I untap, I have all of my mana, and I do need to draw a card here. So we're gonna go black, cling to dust, target the Counterspell. We draw the land, so we'll play it and pass. All right, opponent, what delights do you have for us? Misty Rainforest, no extension. I was hoping they play a frog so we can use one of these pushes. Go to me turn. All right, there's a Tamiyo. I think I'm really cool just jamming this thing. I want some more attrition. All right, there's Tamiyo. You're up, dude. Consider is good. Looks like they binned in Orcish Bowmasters. I'm not sure how good that is. Bowmaster seems like it would have been fine here with my Tamiyo in play. They must have a push. They fetch. Unless they want to like really juice up a Murktide, but right now I don't know how good a 5/5 Murktide is for them. Frogs get in the way of that pretty easy. Archmage's Charm to take. I don't like doing this, but I will push my own Tamiyo. Okay, you go. In a perfect world, well, in a perfect world, they just don't have a Murktide here, but I think they do. In a perfect world, they jam Murktide, don't have a protection line for this ring. I jam ring, it resolves, we find Frog, we outgrow Murktide. That's how we win this game. But right now, if they have the Murktide I think they have, we're in a hard position. Yeah, that looks like the beginning of the casting of a Murktide. Could get dark. There it is. There's Murky Boy. Now, we do have technical outs to Murktide, Sink into Stupor being the main one. But that is a 3-drop. It can be quite hard to resolve in this matchup. Okay, Migo. All right, there's a Flare of Denial. Quite bad. I think we just lose this game now. We kind of missed on the ability to cast the ring and see if they didn't have interaction. We're going to keep playing just because there is a world where we like draw the perfect sequence of like land into ring. They don't have Counterspell. We resolve ring. We get Frog. We're able to sneak out this crazy surgical lethal damage. But that I'd say we're about 5% to win here, which is fine. I can't imagine that this is one of our easier matchups. They're kind of a similar deck to us, but they have like more threats. There's my Psychic Frog. We'll try it. All right, there's a Mystical Dispute. All right, we have one more turn to try to draw out of this. All right, you're up, opponent. Attack for 6. We go to 5. Ouch. All right, come on, deck. I need to get really lucky, and I need my opponent to get exceedingly unlucky. Let's go. All right, that ain't it. None of this does anything? Nope. Okay, cool. Good talk. Concede. All right, that's a round 2 loss. Hate to see it. Those were close games. I'd be interested in running back this matchup at some point in the future. Maybe Max and I will do it in paper, but let's get to round 3. All right, we found an opponent, and I think we won our first die roll. Game 1 I played yesterday, so I don't remember if I won that die roll or lost it, but I'm pretty sure I lost it. We get Tamiyo, Force of Negation, Counterspell. Protected Tamiyo seems like something I'm into. Let's do it. No Companion leads me to believe our opponent likely isn't on a form of energy. That's the deck that can deal with Tamiyo the easiest, I would say. Here's Tamiyo. Go. Sacred Foundry, Shock, Bolt the Tamiyo. I will protect it. Ragavan. Am I okay with that? Well, I can't counter it. I mean, when I say am I okay with that, I mean like, am I gonna not attack with Tamiyo to protect myself from Ragavan? Or am I gonna start making my clues? Right now, I think I can like be patient. We will play Flooded Strand because Polluted Delta can get basic swamp, and we're gonna hang out. I think I'll leave this Tamiyo in the way for the time being. All right, looks like we're bolting Tamiyo. I have a response to that. I will go. Do I need a Watery Grave? Nah, we can get basics. This deck probably plays Blood Moon. Let's just Counterspell the Lightning Bolt. No, thank you. All right, they Surveil. Sweet. Flage to the bin. Less sweet. All right, end step. All right, no land, please. I've got very few lands in my deck. Drawing Sink into Stupor, not the worst. Kind of makes me want to get busy with my Tamiyo just to start generating some clues. So we'll do that, and then we'll just Sink into Stupor the Ragavan in their combat, and then we will go to the end step. You go, opponent. Attack with Raggies. Okay, we fetch. We get Swamp. Hopefully you have Blood Moons in your hand, and they're useless. We Sink into Stupor, cast, target Ragavan. Land, Shock, Flage, Guide of Souls. Into Ragavan, Galvanic Discharge. That would suck. Into a Johnny, sure. So now we want to flip this Tamiyo worse than anything, which we can do. We have the clue, so we attack, crack, flip Tamiyo. All right, my turn. Minamo can be good in the very, very near future. Let's play Let's actually just jam it. You know what? I still want to play around Blood Moon. Maybe second Swamp is pretty good. Let's get it now so I don't draw it. Go to combat, attack. We want to find a frog as fast as possible and a ring as fast as possible. We would like to like Falcon Punch our opponent with frog before they can develop their board too much further. And it's going to be kind of hard to do that, but we're going to try anyway. Draw a card off the clue. It's a subtlety. That's cool. Draw a card off the clue. It's a whatever. Another subtlety, sure. So we can stop something bad from happening. Tamiyo is going to flip, we'll tick it up. They only have 2 energies, so we might be on subtletying whatever they play, because currently they can attack us for 1. But if they are able to use the energy, then they'll be attacking us for 3, which means they can almost kill Tamiyo. And we did not find a ring yet. Is this Dashavan? It's Dashavan. I think I'm super into... Well, they won't float the Ragavan, but still, I want to make them use their, lose their mana here. Hit the Rags. The chance that they don't have another 1-drop is pretty low. And all they need is another 1-drop to be able to, like, bring the Tamiyo to 1, which isn't ideal. But I'll play on the off chance that they don't have one. It's a static prison, so that's not great. But at least we get the Tamiyo trigger. We still got rings as outs. You can attack me for 1. Oh, no, they get 2 extra energy. Although, it's worth noting that if they pay 3 energy, their static prison's going to start getting worse really fast. But okay, they're going to float, so they're going to attack us for a grand total of, what, 3? Yeah, it looks like 3. That's fine. All right, deck. If you're not going to give me a ring, give me a Fatal Push. I would take that. All right, Migo. Sink into Stupor. We're definitely surveilling. That's happening. We might be sink into Stuporing the Guide of Souls, ideally in response to something they try to do so they can't get the energy. That way they lose their static prison. I think that's our line. All right, there's an Amped Raptor, so that's not going to work the way we want it to, I don't think. We could sink into Stupor the Amped Raptor, but if they have land drop, that gets dicey. Let's get... I don't think I can bounce the Guide of Souls just to have them recast it, so let's play on the off chance that they don't have a land and they can't make energy, because if they can't, static prison dies. But it's a Ragavan. You know, I think I knew that they had the Ragavan, actually. I did, I totally knew. So now they've got an energy to protect. Play may have been a little bit loose. They should probably attack with the Johnny. Don't know why they're not doing that. All right, me take damage. Ouch. Go to 8. I'm gonna go to 7 because I need a Surveil. We need a ring stat. Yeehaw, there's my Undercity Sewers. Boop. It's an Archaeologist, not what we're looking for. Go to the bin. Although I guess Archaeologist could have looked for ring. That would have been pretty good, huh? Beats the crap out of this Flare Denial. Okay, I think we lose game 1 pretty easily. Let's go to game 2. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna cut 4 Counterspell. Even on the play, Counterspell trades really poorly into what the Boros Energy deck is doing. I haven't figured out exactly why they have no Giganta yet, but there's got to be some reason they don't have a Giganta in their deck. The Counterspell is just going to like always trade for a 1-drop or a 2-drop, and it's pretty medium, and our deck really doesn't like to leave that mana up for an exchange that poor. Drown in a Loch, they've got their Flage deck, so they're going to be able to enter the graveyard pretty quickly. It usually does the job of Fatal Push, which Fatal Push does so much better. And Force of Negation, their deck's kind of a zoo deck. There's not too many cards we're interested in forcing. Static Prison is one of them, so we're not taking out all of our forces. They just don't have as many targets as we'd like. We're bringing in Toxic Deluge because obviously we're going to be able to wipe their board easily. I kind of wish this deck played a second one on the sideboard, but I am playing 1-for-1 the deck that we saw top 8, the SCG Baltimore, SCG Con Baltimore. 3 Stern Scoldings, they play like Counterspell in this matchup. Harbinger of the Sea seems weird because they're already a Blood Moon deck, but even just making them unable to make like white so they can't cast Flage, or maybe they didn't proactively get a white source and they thought they were the Blood Moon deck. You can kind of trip them up. So I'm going to do this. Also, the Harbinger of the Seas is like another blocker, which in some cases we're going to want. So we're going to try it out like this, and we really are looking for a frog hand. I would love to play first. Push, pretty good. Frog, good. Archaeologist plus Flare. This hand's great. We're going to keep... We notably don't have a black source. We're going to have to suck it up on that one. We're going to go Flooded Strand, and we likely have to fetch Shot because I am going to be Fatal Pushing whatever they play on turn 1. Doesn't matter what it is. We're probably also going to lead on Archaeologist instead of Frog to play around Static Prison. All right, they're fetching. It really doesn't matter whether it's Guide of Souls, Ocelot Pride, Ragavan, they all suck. It's a Guide of Souls. We're going to take it out right now. Guide of Souls is tricky because you never panic as much with the Guide of Souls as you do with like an Ocelot Pride or a Ragavan. But Guide of Souls is their best 1-drop. Like, the more I play against this deck, the more I realize like that is actually the most problematic card to play against. So we need to remove it. Then we're going to play the Archaeologist to set up having Flare of Denial up for the Frog. So we'll go blue, and here's my Archaeologist. Trigger the Archaeologist. Please don't whiff. It doesn't whiff. It's a Cling to Dust. I might leave the Cling to the Dust in the bin just to let my Archaeologist be a 1/4, way harder to kill. That's exactly what we're going to do. I did whiff, but like I'm intentionally letting it be. I didn't whiff, but I'm intentionally whiffing is what I should say. It's way harder for their deck to kill a 1/4 than it is for them to kill a 0/3. Arid Mesa. Is it Mahjani time? It's Unlicensed Hearse time. Oh, my friend, I think you have misunderstood what this matchup's about, but sure. They probably think I'm a Murktide deck, but that Hearse is not very good here. Spell Snare is pretty cool. A land would have been better, but we're going to get this Psychic Frog going, and we're not going to attack. I like our 1/4 being a good blocker. I'll be really sad if they like go to Static Prison my Psychic Frog, because then I will have missed out on a point of damage, but what can you do? Guide of Souls is fine. We will not interact with that. Ocelot Pride? No, it's a static prison, so we will Flare of Denial. The static prison by sacrificing Archaeologist. No thank you. Elegant Parlor? Sure. Next turn, it's probably like attack with Frog, probably float the Frog. Although maybe, like, do I care if they block with Guide of Souls? Yeah, I think I just want to start getting damaging. Yeah, I'll probably float the Frog. Beam in, especially since this is our, like, turn to float the Frog because they've got the unlicensed Hearse. And then play Tamiyo holding up Spell Snare. Migo. Undercity Sewers is pretty sweet. Let's go ahead and open on that. Island, I do not really want my 4th land drop yet. We'll put that into the bin. Let's get this frog floating. 1, 2, 3. My frog can fly. My frog can go to combat and attack. You can take 1. I can draw a card. Hiya, me draw. Harbinger of the Seas, kind of neat. If I play it now, they won't have red sources, which is really cool. I can't play it now because I don't have land, but we'll think about it for next turn. We're notably down a black source, so that's something we really need to think about. We will hold up the black mana. I'll play Tamiyo. I'm saying that out loud because by leaving our Watery Grave up, Blood Moon gets kind of weird because we'd have to float the black for Fatal Push. But I think that's fine, so we're just going to pass here. Second Guide of Souls. Do I care if they have an energy? No. And I want to have this Spell Snare up just in case they go a Johnny and think they're going to make 4 energy. It's Amp Raptor. Hi. Spell Snare, please. No. Unlicensed Source takes my stuff. That's fine. Notably, I can flip Tamiyo here, which is huge. Well, I guess no. I need the frog to get through. But if they're going to start... Well, now I can just get Tamiyo flipped, kind of. If this frog draws a land, I can flip Tamiyo. I think it's worth it to get those Guide of Souls out of play, right? Yeah, let's no Guide of Souls for you. Do I kill this Guide of Souls too? Or do I just swing into it? Kind of hard to say. No, I want my card. I'm just going to use my cards. Fatal Push the second Guide of Souls. Go to combat. Hiya. Get a clue. Hopefully draw a land. That would be very sweet. Draw. It's a Polluted Delta. Go to second main phase. Get a swamp because I have this Harbinger. There's my swamp. Crack the clue. Draw my third card for turn. Flip a Tamiyo. Draw Subtlety so I can pitch the Harbinger if I have to. That's probably as good as I could have hoped for. And then you're up, opponent. Red, white, white. Flage. Flage can't kill anything. What it can do is crew the Hearse. Nope, I think I'm so far ahead, I'm going to Subtlety the Flage. Subtlety, target Flage. No. They went on top, which makes sense. If they go to unlicensed Hearse here, which makes sense, I'm going to activate my frog. I'm going to exile the cards that they target, and that's just so their Hearse doesn't get any bigger. Also, if I ever go to give my frog flying, they can't respond with Hearse because exiling the cards is part of cost, so they're not going to have a priority before those cards are exiled, which is a nice little trick. People forget that sometimes. All right, Aether Hub, make an energy, sure. Is the last card in your hand Static Prison? It's not. Okay, I'll draw. Minamo, that's cool. Go to combat. Let's draw a ring deck. Luckily, if I don't play any of these cards out of my hand, I can protect my frog from dying to Flage. Also, that's a Flare of Denial, so that's quite good. Let's tick up the Tamiyo and just pass the turn. Blue, blue, black. Hardcast, target Flage. Hearse. Well, I can't actually do the thing, so the Hearse is going to grow because I don't have enough cards in my graveyard to exile to the frog, which is a shame. They pass to us, we take draw. It's another Tamiyo. Not bad. Let's go to combat. Attack with the frog. Come on, 1 ring. It's another psychic frog. That's actually kind of interesting. What if I just windmill slam my hand? We'll tick up the Tamiyo. We're gonna make the Flage target Tamiyo. Because if it doesn't, then I'm gonna ult my Tamiyo and they're gonna die on the spot. Because you draw half your deck when you do that. So I think I will not make an attempt to protect my frog's lives. I'm going to jam every card in my hand. Here's Minamo. Here's black and blue. Here's Psychic Frog. Here's blue. Here's Tamiyo. Figure it out. Obviously, if they play an Arena of Glory, we got. That's going to be 12 damage just immediately. It's an Amp Raptor, which seems kind of weird. I wonder why they don't want to Flage. Maybe they think Flage isn't good enough. There's their Blood Moon. It's no longer good though. I have my mana. Putting Blood Moon in play, that's fine. What's the last card in your hand? A Johnny? Sure. All right, you are quantifiably dead, my friend. We are going to game 3. You're out of mana. My Tamiyo has a -8. It's crude. I'm gonna block with Tamiyo. Okay, it shrinks, and we'll go to blocks, and that thing doesn't trample. Okay, my turn? Yeah, it's my turn. Oh, that's a 1 ring. That's cool. I would like to draw so many cards. Cool. You're at 13, and I have a hand size of 19. The math's mathin'. We'll play a land that just happens to be a mountain. We are going to start to grow this frog. I'll discard, I don't need the 1 rings. I'll discard the 1 ring. I will discard, yep, they see it. I'm just gonna Falcon Punch them in the air for 13. Okay, we got that game. Got pretty lucky there for us. Do we wanna make any changes on the draw? And I think we don't want to. Counterspell gets quantifiably worse on the draw. Bowmasters, like, it's always a consideration for cards like Ocelot Pride and the Raptor, but I think it's just not that good ultimately. I think we'll just lean into what we're already doing and hit submit deck. Hopefully we draw Stern Scolding in the play, or on the draw. This is interesting. we can Subtlety the first thing they play, jam our own Tamiyo, keep them off balance, and then if we can draw an on-tap land, we can jam a frog too, and the ring is at the end of the tunnel. A few things need to happen for this hand to come together, and we don't have any removal, which is problematic, but we've only got 4 pushes in the first place. I think we're going to keep this. We need a few things to happen. We'd love to draw an on-tap land as our first or second draw, because we want to jam out a Psychic Frog as soon as possible. Sacred Foundry. Now, if this is a Guide of Souls, we'll leave it alone just because we want to counter the thing after, but that being a Ragavan, I don't think so. We're going to get rid of this Force of Negation and just Subtlety it. No thanks. Ragavan goes on top, which just makes sense. All right, please draw land. I never wanted to draw land so bad in my life. I really need to start specifying what I want when I say I want to draw a land. We could just jam the, I wonder if I care about them dashing frog. No, I think we do just want to jam Tamiyo, unfortunately. My thinking is maybe I play a tapped Undercity Sewers and then play frog turn 2, but I really don't want to let them get that far ahead. We'll grab an island, we'll tap, we'll play Tamiyo. We'll still hope to draw another land, although our deck's not built to draw that many lands in a row. We've only got like 18 plus 3 from the Synchronous Stupors. Galvanic Discharge kills my Tamiyo. Ooh, but they put their Ragavan back on top and only had 1 land? That seems wrong. Here's an Undercity Sewers. The top card is an island. Funny, I think I'll actually do I want to keep this island just to like make the One Ring happen? No, I've got too many draws. I'll put it in the graveyard. I think I'll naturally find the card I need before then, which is just on-tap land. And spoiler alert, I've got an Undercity Sewers in play and 1 in my hand, so all the lands I draw from here on out will be untapped. All right, draw for turn. Watery Grave, there's an on-tap land. Let's play Undercity Sewers. Check that tip-top card. It's a Subtlety. I kind of like it, actually. It's weird, but I'm gonna keep it on top. After I cast the ring, hard casting Subtlety multiple turns is probably just gonna like kill our opponent. Here's a Psychic Frog. Also, there's like a non-zero chance I have to pitch this Subtlety to this frog if they have like another discharge. Actually, if they don't play land and they just play a discharge, I'm gonna hope they didn't draw a second land, and I'm just gonna grow the Psychic Frog way out of range. It's a static prison, which is like fine. And leaving Subtlety on top is fine because our opponent's going to get it with Ragavan, and we're gonna windmill slam a One Ring. All right, opponent, you have gained access to your treasure token. Tap for white, make an Ocelot Pride, that's fine. You have gained no life this turn. There's an Archaeologist. Here is a Shocked in Watery Grave for a One Ring. Hiya. Trigger the One Ring, get protection. Let's start drawing cards. That's another One Ring. We'll take it. All right, opponent, start paying energy to keep your static prison in play, please. They keep missing on land. That was a really greedy keep from our opponent. The worst part is their deck is strong enough that there's still like a minuscule chance we lose the game. Stern Scolding's quite good. I'm gonna draw 2 cards. Cool, I got a Fatal Push. That Ragavan's never going to connect. I can go like Archaeologist and then just pass the turn and do the things that I need to. I think that's what we'll do. Archaeologist, trigger the Archaeologist. What do we get? Spell Snare and Cling to Dust? I'll take none of them. I'll have a 1/4. I've already got all the interaction I want in my hand, and this Archaeologist is just in the way, which is so good. Pay your last energy. You got it. Tap for red. Galvanic Discharge with no energy? Okay. Are they discharging just to keep the static prison around for longer? My dude, that's not it. All right, they're passing. I am going to go ahead and Fatal Push. Believe it or not, the Ocelot Pride, just because that thing can go wide, and that's like the one way things can get out of hand right now. Then we'll untap, One Ring will deal 2 to us, we'll draw a card. Then we're going to do my favorite thing, draw 3 cards. There's another One Ring, love to see it. Here's an island. And then let's play Archaeologist number 2. Trigger the Archaeologist, what do we got? I'll take a Force of Negation. Okay, opponent, you're up. I'm not going to attack with my 1/4. It just continues to block Ragavan. Tap for red. What are you going to play for 1 red? I can't think of a single thing that matters. Opponent kept a 1-lander and is getting maximum punished. I actually kind of feel bad. It is unlikely that they don't hit a land by this point in the game. All right, One Ring deals 3 to me. We're going to draw 4. We're going to try to find a frog here to just pour all of our stuff into. We don't find it. We can get a flip Tamiyo going. What we really want to do is replace the ring here. We'll go Flooded Strand. I will just replace my ring, and then we'll keep the new one. Trigger, get protection from everything. Then we'll get a Tamiyo into play. And then after that, we'll go to our end step, and we're gonna discard. The discard is actually kind of tough. I think it's gonna be like Sink into Stupor plus Stern Scolding. Yeah, let's do that. They tap for red. They're gonna Galvanic Discharge targeting Tamiyo. Do I care about that? Not particularly. Yeah, you got it, dude. Tamiyo's dead. Cool. End step, discard Sink, discard Stern. You're up. Okay, it's gotta be land time, right? Like, you have to have it now. There it is. You ready to start casting spells, buddy? Looks like it. Whatever it is getting Stern Scolding. All right, there's a Johnny. Not a chance. Island, tap it, Scolding the Ajani. Okay, we just need to draw a frog here and the game comes to a stop immediately. Although if I just keep not letting them resolve anything, we're gonna get our frog back. There's a Harbinger. That also just ends the game. Now we just want to find a black source. 1 black source, please. Not quite. Okay, good talk. Well, maybe we don't need to use black. Maybe we go black, blue, Psychic Frog, and then we go blue, 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 Harbinger of the Seas. Now our opponent no longer has mana mana. Okay, got it. That was a bummer. Our opponent kind of just didn't do anything game 2 and we got to do whatever we wanted, but that puts us at 2-1. Let's go to round 4. All right, round 4, we won another die roll. Absolutely love it. This hand is a little stinky. Double Tamiyo sus. Nothing really to do with the mana. That said, second Tamiyo pitches to Subtlety, and that's big game. Sheoldred's Edict can deal with the first threat. Cling to Dust can come up. I think I'm going to try this. I think just like the power level of getting Tamiyo in play early seems kind of high. This hand is a little bit shaky though. It has problems. No double blue is like one of the most obvious ones. No fetch lands to go get like Surveil lands is also problematic. Our opponent mulligans to 6 though, so I like that. Hopefully we're not playing against Burn. Starting the game at 17 is going to be pretty tough. All right, they found out what they're doing. Devourer of Destiny. So now I wish I had a frog because it looks like it's some type of Eldrazi deck, which I believe we played round 1. Spurific Springs, we will zip zap that into play. Luckily with this matchup, we might have some time to draw cards off Tamiyo and try to figure it out. So that's good. Pass to you. Devourer of Destiny triggers. All right, there's a Saga. Hate to see that on one, although Consign to Memory is going to be so good in this matchup. All right, go to me turn. Draw. Psychic Frog, that's literally what I ordered. Swamp, go to combat. Hiya. Trigger Tamiyo, make clue. We can flip this Tamiyo next turn, guys. Go to main phase. Here's a frog. That is the best draw step I could have hoped for. Go. We've got the wombo combo of like flip Tamiyo turn 3 and like make that just a ongoing problem for the opponent. Urza's Power Plant into what? Talisman? Chalice of the Void on 1. You're late. Sorry, buddy. All right, they're going to pass to us, so we'll take a draw step. Counterspell, sure. We'll go ahead and start off by pitching Tamiyo to the frog, pitching Cling to Dust to the frog. We'll get busy, attack, hiya. We get to draw a card off of the frog. A blue source would be choice. It's an Undercity Sewers. I really have to start specifying. But we will we'll put the Undercity Sewers into, no, we'll draw first. No, yeah, we'll draw first because we're going to try to find, if we need to, I don't know if we actually need it, but finding the card, the sacrifice one, Flare of Denial would be pretty sweet. Flip Tamiyo, tick Tamiyo up, play Undercity Sewers, trigger Undercity Sewers. The One Ring, it's fine. Go ahead, opponent. Seems like a good way to end turn 3 with a flip Tamiyo and a 3/4 frog and a super dead Chalice on 1. Here it's worth noting they might go get Pithing Needle to name my Psychic Frog. So it may make sense to just drop a Sheoldred's Edict to the frog right now. That said, I just don't feel the need to do that. I think that with all the interaction in our hand, we can kind of make it work. But Pithing Needle naming frog, pretty choice. Pithing Needle naming Tamiyo, bad idea. It's an expedition map. They really want to make Tron. I wonder if they use their floating mana plus power plant to find a Tron land, then try to Tron us next turn. Yeah, there's Tower, so they can go get mine. That would be like an okay use of their mana. Looks like they're just not going to use the mana in pass though. I'm not sure what that means. Okay, my turn. Okay, let's not use the Tamiyo yet. This turn I'm not super interested in pitching to frog. I love the idea of holding something up for Counterspell as well, but I think the One Ring is just way too high upside. I think we'll go to combat first. That'll give us some more information. Attack you for 3. I'm not going to pitch anything to it just yet. Trigger the frog, draw a card. It's another Tamiyo. That's interesting. I don't think, yeah, this Tamiyo is going up for sure. And then let's just drop a ring and see what our opponent decides to do. Hiya. Ring. I didn't commit too much into this frog, so if they, jam Devourer of Destinies and deal with our frog, so be it. We should have time to find another one. Draw off the One Ring. Watery Grave, sure. And then it's your turn, opponent. This Tamiyo will ult the turn after next if they can't deal with it, and that seems nuts. Crack Expedition map, sure. I wish I had Consigns in the main board, but that would be insane. All right, there's a mine. Are we going Devourer? I don't think we're going to Subtlety a Devourer for what that's worth. Is this Mr. Devourer? Yep. What do you want to take out, my frog? You want to take out my Tamiyo? Okay. That seems incorrect, but okay. So I can't deploy another Tamiyo because there's a Chalice. So this Tamiyo is going to go underneath my Psychic Frog for sure. Me on tap. Me take damage to ring, me draw. It's an Archaeologist. Let's draw 2 off the ring. Draw Flare of Denial is pretty good. Let's play an island. Let's discard this Tamiyo to this Psychic Frog because you don't have reach. You sure don't. Let's activate the frog, exiling 1, 2, 3 cards. Give it flying. Before we attack, I think we will just jam Fallaji Archaeologist. We're going to keep just so much interaction up. Trigger the Archaeologist. Flip 3. It's literally 3 copies of Counterspell. I'll take one. That's so weird. All right. Flip 3 counterspells, grab a counterspell. Is there anything I don't want to do? Yeah, let's pitch Watery Grave to the Psychic Frog as well. Let's go to combat. Let's attack for 5. This should put our opponent on dead next turn. All right, trigger the frog, draw a card. Force of Negation. Okay, you need another Devourer of Destinies to make it through the turn, which I'm into. Pass. And even if they have it, all I have to do is draw another frog. Urza Saga, sure, trigger. Reality Smasher. Well, you sure can be countered. Let's do that. Blue, counterspell the Reality Smasher. Okay, what now, opponent? You understand that you're dead, right? Okay, we're passing to me, I guess. On tap 2, draw for turn, draw 3. Play Swamp, give Flight. 1, 2, 3 counterspells, just cuz. Frog goes up, discard, that's 6. Discard, that's 7. All right, they concede and they see it. Let's sideboard. Okay, here's what I want to do for sideboard. I'm going to bring in, obviously, 3 Consign to Memory, super good against their deck. 2 Harbinger of the Seas, insane against their deck. A Force of Negation. It's actually a way to play around Dismember. They're definitely going to want to dismember Harbinger. They're going to want to take care of early Frogs, early Tamiyos, things like that. We're going to bring in Bowmasters because I believe that every Tron deck is a ring deck, if I'm not mistaken. And it's just extra pressure. And then we're going to take out Cling to Dust, has almost no utility. 4 Push, has almost no targets. 2 Spell Snare. They might be playing Talismans, but if they're not, they have like 1 target in their deck, maybe, depending on the build. And then Drown in the Loch is bad for the same reason that Clinging to Dust is bad. Their graveyard just isn't really a big part of their game. So we're going to go 8 for 8 and submit. Unfortunately, we're on the draw this time, so that's quantifiably worse. This hand, however, is quantifiably awful. We've got no lander. Technically, there's thinking a Stupor, but that ain't going to do it for us, I don't think. Mulligan. Our opponent keeps, which is just so dangerous. Let's see here. We've got Tamiyo into Frog and a Subtlety. We'll try it. This Undercity Sewers gotta go. The hand's like not exactly what we want against Tron, but it's just things to do. We'd love some sideboard cards, but like the thing we're gonna do is play a Tamiyo, play a Frog, try to stop them with a Subtlety, and draw into a Harbinger of Seas or a Consign to Memory or something. That's our goal. Okay, looks like they kept a card on top with their Devourer trigger. There's a Mine. Naked Mine? Naked Mine. No Chalice on 1, meaning we can shock this Watery Grave into play, tap it for blue, develop Tamiyo, and pass the turn. We're not going to do the thing where we play Archaeologist on 2, because we like having it as a blue pitch to Subtlety, and opening up the Frog as fast as possible is just generally a good idea. Ugid's Labyrinth, pretty mint. A little worried about a Trinisphere here. Instead, they do nothing. That's weird. Okay, my turn. Draw Flare of Denial. That's crazy good. Okay, Polluted Delta, go to combat. Hiya. Take 0, I make clue. I'm winning the permanence race, and then we'll fetch for a swamp, because we do, in fact, have Harbinger of the Seas. Islands are good, so are swamps. We'll go tap for blue, tap for black. Now I kind of want to drop the Archaeologist, but I think I will sacrifice Tamiyo to Flare in a pinch. So let's just go Psychic Frog and pass. They spent their first 2 turns doing straight up nothing. Are they going to ring here and hope that's enough? There's a tower. They're getting close to Tron. They did, in fact, think it would be enough. All right, sacrifice this Tamiyo to deal with the ring. Okay, amigo. All right, Frog, find me some candy. Go to combat, attack, just for 1 for now. Hit you for 1. Hard counterspell, please. Just an island. Now, the big question here is, do I want to play an Archaeologist or do I want to hold up Subtlety? I think I want to, the Archaeologist oh wait, I can't hold up Subtlety, it's only turn 3. I think it's to play an Archaeologist in that case. Try to find like another Flare of Denial would be just so good. Okay, we see Sink into Stupor. It's not great, but I can use it in a pinch to bounce some problematic permanent, so we'll pass the turn. Now, if they just windmill slam Tron here and like Ugin us, it is game, unfortunately. We didn't have any way to attack their mana base, and Troning is problematic. It's just an Eldrazi Temple, so the max mana they can make right now is 6, which is all right. We can kind of handle that. Tap for what? What are we doing? I hope they want to play like Chalice or Trinisphere or something. That wouldn't be that good. Thought-Knot Seer? What is this? It's a Thought-Knot Seer. Do I care? I don't think so. No, I don't care. Thought-Knot Seer resolves. You know what isn't nearly big enough to stop a Frog? A Thought-Knot Seer. They take Sink into Stupor. Pretty heads-up play from opponent. Pass to me. They pass to me. What's our top deck? Undercity Sewers is not great. I can attack directly into this Thought-Knot Seer, and if they block, we'll pitch everything but Archaeologist and just kill it and draw a card? Is that how we want to do this? Or do you just want to float the Frog and keep going? I think we'll float the Frog and keep going. Exile 3. That. You don't have reach, do you? Nope, you didn't gain reach while I wasn't looking. Go to combat, attack, go to blocks, no blocks. Damage step, Frog connects. We draw Harbinger of the Seas. That is so good. I'm going to play it. Let's go. We're not going to use our mana, so let's go Undercity Sewers and get our Surveil on first. Maybe there's a ring. There's a Subtlety. I don't hate it. I'm going to look for a ring, though. We'll put it into the graveyard. And then we will just drop our Harbinger of the Seas. Hello. Tap for... Oh, you're buying your thing back? Sure. Now I have a Harbinger. Go. You have so many islands. If they attack, we're just going to take it because we like our Archaeologist being able to sacrifice the Flare of Denial in a pinch. There's a Wastes. That does make colorless through Harbinger. Very important. Is it Trinisphere time? Is that what 3 is? 4 mana? Is it the ring? Is that what we want to do? That would be pretty good. It's a second Thought-Knot Seer. Do we want to pitch cast Subtlety on that one? I think so. That clock does become substantial. Let's go. Cast by exiling Archaeologist. Subtlety target Thought-Knot Seer. You can go top if you want. I just need to just slow down because I need to win the race is the thing. They put it on the bottom, which is fine. Now, if they get in with this Thought-Knot, which I have to imagine they will, I'm just going to take it. All right, they're getting busy. Respect. No blocks. Go to 13. It's time for me to draw the One Ring. No, it's just another Psychic Frog. Not the worst. I don't want to overextend into a All is Dust. Not that they can cast it just yet, but it's got to be getting close. Let's go ahead and go to combat. They don't have any blockers, so we'll get busy like this. We'll probably pitch Island to Frog before damage. All right, let's speed the clock up just a touch. Damage, take 4. Trigger Frog, draw card. Tamiyo, cool. I guess we can flip Tamiyo here. Maybe we just do that. Play Tamiyo. Draw off clue. Tamiyo triggers. We draw Consign to Memory, which is just so good. Take this Tamiyo up. They can dance with their Thought-Knot Seer if they want. You're up, opponent. Yeah, I think this Dimir Frog deck is like positioned really well against all the Eldrazi / Tron decks. If I had to take a little guessy poo. Reality Smasher, tap for blue, Consign, cast, target Reality Smasher, no Dinkyu. Go to combat, probably attack my Tamiyo, I think has to be the right play. They don't even attack. They want to have a blocker for my Harbinger, I imagine. They need as much time as possible. Let's go, I actually might go down with this Tamiyo. Having a Consign to Memory seems insane, so let's grab it. I don't think you're supposed to go for the ult every game. And then let's float this Frog. I want to keep drawing. We'll get rid of Subtleties and an Island. Frog go jump, we go combat, attack for 2. Do we want to speed this clock up at all? Do we want to like pitch a Frog? Could be. We do have the Consign to Memory. It's hard for us to get blown out here. Let's pitch this Frog. I'll keep the Harbinger though, just in case. Hit him for 3. Trigger the Frog, draw a card. It's an Undercity Sewers. We'll just hold that to pitch to the Frog. It doesn't surveil or anything right now, so we're good. And then if they go to attack the Tamiyo, we will block it with the Archaeologist. With this Consign to Memory in our hand, we just want to like extend their attention to our Tamiyo. Keep our life total nice and healthy. Keep pressuring them. At this point, they're probably on like a 3-turn clock, which is like no sweat. What is this, Chalice? Yeah, doesn't stop Consign to Memory. We just had to replicate it once. And we can still counter things. There's Karn. That is a colorless spell, so let's go blue, black, Consign, cast with replicate, target here. Replicate 1 is exactly what I want to do. You know what, let's replicate 1. I like it. Very glad that we used the Tamiyo to grab back the Consign. That seems great now. Funnily, we could actually consign the Chalice trigger. We could use the replicate to hit that, I think. We're just going to target the Karn, so who cares? But I have no abilities to activate. Choose target as Karn. Same targets. Okay, your Chalice counters the Consign. Now what? Opponent asks, here, let's, you can barely see it, but I'll explain it. Hey, could you explain why replicate works with Chalice on 1? The replicated part of the spell does not have a CMC. I know it's weird. I found out in a judge call at an FNM. There we go. Just had to. Oh, it's because it's cast, not copy. Or that. Yeah. Okay, makes sense. Thanks anyways. For sure, dude, no problem. Yeah, that is a confusing one. Also, another one that comes up with Consign to Memory is if you have a Trinisphere and you're replicating your Consign, as long as you replicate it twice, you don't have to pay 3 for the Trinisphere because you're paying that much to cast the spell. It's the same way it works with Shattering Spree if that's never come up for you. All right, we'll tick up the Tamiyo. We will float the you know, at this point, we won't float the Frog. I'm actually totally cool with them declaring a block here. We're just going to attack with the Frog because if they block with the Thought-Knot Seer, it's so good for us. We will discard a card anyway. We'll discard 2. We'll discard Psychic Frog and Undercity Sewers. And that's 5 damage, so it brings them to 6. This should put them on a 1-turn clock. Sink into Stupor is a great pickup here. Yeah, I think that means they have just no way out, so we'll just pass the turn. You got it. But yeah, our opponent asked a question about why the replicate isn't countered by Chalice, and I may have given him the wrong answer, actually. They're playing Karn. I said it was because the copies don't have a CMC, but I think that's actually untrue. I don't know where I pulled that information from. They said, oh, because it's cast, not copy. I think that is the reason. So I don't want to misinform people watching the channel. Sometimes I ask judges questions and forget why the answer was the answer it was. Yeah, sinking the Stupor Karn here should just about do it. That means they have a colorless. And GG, well played. Yep, GG, well played, opponent. You love to find an opponent that's like not mean. There's so many opponents that get salty, but I think that's just a bad matchup for the Tron deck, and that's totally fine. Tron, I think after the banning of Nadi, is going to get really good, and we're going to need at least one deck that has a good matchup into Tron. And this, not necessarily this exact version of Frog, but any Frog deck, like with Murktide or with the One Ring, they both have to be solid in Tron. But that puts us at 3-1, so that's solid so far. Let's get in round 5 and try to get that sick 4-1. I really wanted a trophy, but we had that rough round against Murktide. And that our opponent played really well that game, so what can you do? All right, round 5. We're on the draw, and this hand looks kind of good. We've got removal, Spell Snare, which Spell Snare is much more effective on the draw. Given it's going to be less effective this game if we want to lead on Tamiyo. And Flare of Denial is going to be awkward too, so there's problems with the hand, but having a piece of permission or a piece of removal Multiple pieces of permission and a thing to do on one makes his hand attractive to me. I might not lead on Tamiyo depending what our opponent does. If it looks like Spell Snare is going to be really high EV, we'll probably go with that. And then maybe try to draw another creature. Maybe if we draw a frog, we can use Tamiyo to protect it. But I don't think we can pass up on a hand like this, even on the draw. Blood Crypt scam me? That would pretty much tear this hand apart, huh? Flameblade Adept. Whenever you cycle or discard a card, it gets +1/+0 till end of turn. Sure. What is this? Gonna be Hollowed One? Could be. That said, I don't think I'm gonna interact with Flameblade Adept here. I think I'm just gonna jam Tamiyo and see what happens. Yeah. Here comes my island. Here comes my Tamiyo. I'm not super familiar with what these decks are doing, so we're just gonna like jam cards and see how their deck works. They're gonna go to combat, hopefully not one-shot me. That would be ideal. Okay, no block, because I can't. Deal 1 to me, sure. Scalding Turn, why not? Fetch, sure. Mountain, what does it mean? A second Flameblade Adept, sure. That's fine. Is it a third Flameblade Adept? It's a third Flameblade Adept. It could get bad here momentarily. We'll see what happens though. End step, my turn. We're definitely gonna get in. We need that 6/6 card draw for later in the game, assuming we get a later in the game. So we'll attack for 0, trigger the Tim Tam, and then I really like holding up Spell Snare and Fatal Push plus Force of Negation. So I'll just get my Swamp into play. We'll save the Polluted Delta for a little bit later. Also, not having blue might make our opponent feel a little bit interested in extending, which would be cool. Goblin Lore, draw 4 cards, then discard 3 at random. Absolutely not. Not today, dude. What would that have been? 15 damage to start with from our opponent? Yeah, that would have been tough, huh? Okay, what else you got, bud? Bloodstained Mire, sure. Attack. We're definitely going to push one of these Flameblade Adepts just to use our mana this turn. So here comes black mana, Fatal Push, cast, kill. All right, we'll take 2. Ouch. All right, main 2, pass. Cool, my turn. Cling to Dust, neat. That actually probably will come up. We'll play this, go to combat, attack for 0. You know, I might actually just Cling to Dust with this Tamiyo and flip the Tamiyo. That seems like it would be quite good. Get in for 0. Now let me think for a second. Yeah, this might be a little bit premature, but I think I am gonna go for it. Let's fetch. I will shock. Watery Grave. I'm not sure what ways I get blown out by this line, but we sure are about to find out. Cling to Dust, take out the Goblin Lore, because we want to draw a card. Draw the One Ring, crack Clue Token, beep, beep, draw a card. Tamiyo saw that, Tamiyo flips, Tamiyo up, and if the Goblin Lore will Force of Negation it, and then we'll just drop the ring and keep ticking up Tamiyo, find a frog, and kill our opponent. That's the idea. Raucous Theater, you got it, buddy. I think if they force us to force, we'll pitch Tamiyo to it. Inti. Well, Inti's fine. That is going to make the Flameblade Adepts a little bit bigger, unfortunately. What is it, +1? So they might be able to kill Tamiyo. All right, trigger the Tamiyo. Nope, they'd have to have another way to pitch. As of right now, Tamiyo is going to take 2, assuming they use their Inti, which I have to imagine they're going to. Pitch Ox of Agonis, sure. Put a +1/+1 counter on a thing, so what is it, 3 damage? Okay. Arena of Glory goes to the exiled zone, so that's a pretty good land for turn. They got to be doing Crocs and stuff, you'd have to imagine, right? All right, Tamiyo takes 3. Ouch. All right, what now? Migo? Arena of Glory, pass to me. All right, me take draw step. Fallaji, cool. Me tick up the Tamiyo. Yeah, I think we're probably supposed to jam the One Ring here. I don't love taking a bunch of damage to do it, but I think that's where we're at. Here's my One Ring. Yeehaw. Trigger game protection from everything. They can take their whole turn dealing with this Tamiyo if they want. I'll draw a card. Another Archaeologist, sure. We're just looking for a frog real hard now. Okay, you go, opponent. All right, they're going right for combat. They probably want to take this Tamiyo out. They may be able to split up their... Nope, they can't split up their attacks. I have protection from ring, so just full send it Tam. Trigger everything. Discard Scalding Turn. Trigger all your stuff. Probably spit up the +1/+1s. Split them up, put 1 here. Then they'll have bigger things. They exile Scalding Turn, so they'll be able to play that. So really, like, a Fatal Push would break this up in a pretty big way, too. Adios, Tamiyo. Play your land for turn. Is it Ox time? Surprising. All right, Migo. I'm surprised they didn't want to go with an Ox. We can get another Tamiyo into play here. How good is it? I have no clue, but we can do it. I think we're supposed to. Here's Tim Tam. Here's me drawing 2 with the ring. Neither of those are frogs, which is unfortunate. We will tick up the Tim Tam. We get a land drop, so we'll do that. We'll tap for black and for blue, and we'll play 1 Fallaji Archaeologist. Please don't mill all my frogs. All right, no frogs. We get Spell Snare and Flare of Denial. We can play another Archaeologist and just have 2 Flare of Denials, and that seems pretty sweet. Let's pick up Flare, and let's go black, blue, and do it again. Archaeologist. Trigger the Archaeologist. No frogs, no frogs. Love to see it. Sink into Stupor might be what I want here. Doubles as a land drop. I can use it to get that Inti out of play for a moment and then maybe counter it on the way back down, so they kind of like lose access to this loop they're doing. All right, you're up, opponent. They also like might, well, no, they're Flame Breaker Adepts. Is that Flame Blade Adept? Is that the name of the card? Yeah, their Flame Blade Adepts do have Menace, so they actually would not struggle that much to deal with the Tamiyo. But we probably just let the Tamiyo go and have like multiple Flare of Denials up. Although with the power and toughness in play, it might be important for us to gain access to another ring soon. Hollow One Cycling. Yeah, all that happens. Burning Inquiry. Each player draws 3 cards, then discards 3 cards at random. No, I'm gonna exile a Fallaji Archaeologist and maybe a Flare of Denial, right? Yeah, we got 3 Flare of Denial, so we'll exile a Flare of Denial to just force the Burning Inquiry. I don't think we're doing that today. All right, they go to combat. Frog, I need you now. Looks like they're full sending at me. So they're ignoring the Tamiyo, so we're going to do some blocking. All right, Tim Tam's going to do its job, bring that down to a grand total of 5 damage. Then the Inti is going to bring it up to 6, 7, 8 damage. So we're going to have to double block something, or just single block the Inti. We'll see how we do it. They pitch Detectives Phoenix. That's pretty cool. Okay, all these triggers happen. If you can hear the lawnmower outside, I apologize. This microphone should cut most of it out. Lightning Bolt entered the exile zone. That's not great. So you are currently a 2/3. You're a 3/3. You're a 3/3. Okay, we're going to blockers. I think we want to conserve as much life total as possible, so let's double block a 3/3. Take 5. Now this may have... We could die to our ring, but this may have been slightly short-sighted, just because we can use Tamiyo to buy back Fatal Push, so we can start to break this up a little bit. Also, a second ring is just very good. Okay, go damage. I'm at 5. Would you like to bolt me? I actually will counter Lightning Bolt, I think. I kind of have to, right? Cast by sacrificing the Fallaji Archaeologist. No. All right, I will untap and go to 3. I would have been dead. Ouch. All right, we got to find some stuff. Let's start by drawing 3 cards. I think we're dead. I guess we can technically... No, we can't even Fallaji into a ring, can we? We do have access to Cling to Dust, but I don't think that's going to save us either. Nope, our opponent gets us. We're going to concede this game. This might be a little bit of a blind spot to us as well. I'm not sure how much graveyard hate this deck can afford to play. Right now, we're just like not playing any. I think that Harbinger might be quite good against them, especially on the play. Deluge is probably solid. Orcish Bowmasters has to be nuts. Force of Negation, fine, probably. Stern Scolding, maybe good to cracked, depending. So I'm thinking about these 8 cards, and I'm thinking about what I don't want. I think Counterspell blows. I think that's just super bad against them. I think Shelly's Edict equally blows. And then Drown in the Loch. I think Drown in the Loch's like kind of okay, actually. I want to leave that in this matchup. Let's cut one of our subtleties. I don't want to go too low on that card. Maybe we don't want to go too heavy on the Stern Scoldings. We'll bring in like 2, and then if we win this game on the draw, we'll bring in the 3rd and take out 1 Tamiyo or something. And then finally, I do like my Spell Snares. I do like my Fatal Pushes, Cling to Dust, Tamiyo. Archaeologist seems mandatory. I like the Draw on the Loch, the Psychic Frogs, the Flares, the Forces, the Sinks, the Subtleties, the One Rings. It's kind of tough as to what the last thing I do is. Maybe I'll just bring in like 1 Stern Scolding and then go up to 2 game 3. We'll try that. All right, we'll do this. Here we go. All right, I will be on the play. We can open on Scolding, then play Psychic Frog, and then go into the ring. We're keeping this. All right, here's a Flooded Strand, and you may go. Bloodstained Mire, sure. Please play a Flame Blade Adept and not a Burning Inquiry. It's a Burning Inquiry. Ugh, okay, it resolves. Let's see what happens. Okay, we get to keep Tamiyo, but we lost all of our lands. Jeez, that's so bad for us. All right, we have to surveil. Undercity Sewers. Looks like they got a Ox of Agonis in the bin too, which is just insane. Tamiyo, you're not what we want. Go to the graveyard. My turn. All right, that's tough. Looks like we're just jamming Tamiyo and hoping for the best. Tamiyo, I don't have a land. Go. Your Burning Inquiry was insane. Mountain, sure. Lightning Bolt Tamiyo, it's the only thing I got going on, so I'll exile a Stern Scolding. No, it probably has to be Archaeologist. I'll exile an Archaeologist to Force of Negation the Bolt. If you have your 3rd Bolt, so be it, dude. Can't stop you. Flame Blade Adept, sure. All right, Migo. Draw Polluted Delta. That's quite good. Let's go ahead and go to combat. Let's attack. Hiya. Now we have a decision to make. Do we want to go shields down and get a frog into play, or do we want to hold up Scolding plus Fatal Push? I think if we wait too long, the game gets worse. We don't have a way to stop them from making us windmill our Psychic Frog, so we're going for it. Island, tap for black and blue, play Psychic Frog. Pass to you. Street Wraith Cycle, seems good. Arid Mesa, sure. Crack it, go to 14. You got it. Burning Inquiry, sure, I'm glad I played my Psychic Frog. All right, I lost my ring, love to see it, but I flipped the Tamiyo, meaning they're just gonna kill it with the Flame Blade Adept, which I guess I'm okay with. It's like so much damage. And now I've got all these Flare of Denials and no real good way to use them because I don't want to sack the frog to it. All right, there's an Ox. It kind of feels like I need to just like counter this and hope to draw something. I think we're just dead, but let's go for it. Sorry, frog. About to lose everything. Oof, I hate playing against this deck. This deck is like super high variance based. It's not been a deck in a while, so we're kind of blind to it. We kind of just ignore its existence. So being in a bad position here isn't that surprising to me, to be honest. Okay, you kill Tamiyo. Tamiyo all gone. Okay, Migo, draw Cling to Dust. Okay, we're just gonna pass the turn. If it starts to look like they're gonna get to Ox of Agonis, we'll Cling to Dust the Ox. Burning Inquiry. Okay, this is the perfect time to, as much as I want to push that Flameblade Adept, how many do you have to exile to escape the Ox? 8. It is 8. That's not gonna be quite enough. So I'm gonna Fatal Push instead of Cling to Dust the Ox. Kill Flameblade Adept. No, thank you. At this point, you can only improve my hand unless I draw 3 and discard the same 3, which I come pretty close to doing. 2 Blazing Root Walls. I hate this. I hate this. Let's just pretend this game never happened. We're going to play it out because that's what we do here, but feels bad. Okay, you have Blazing Root Walls. Thoughtseize? Sure, dude. Flameblade Adept? Sure, dude. What do we have to draw here? Toxic? Fatal Push? Sure. Play land. Crack Clue. Force of Negation? Not very good. You up. How close are they to escaping that Ox? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're 2 cards away. Land, great. Fetch, then they're 1 card away. If they get a Surveil land, they can just escape the Ox right now. If they Surveil to the grave, I'm going, oh, they're shocking. They're putting a Blood Crypt into play tapped. Did they already like use their Raucous Theater or something? All right, they go to combat. I'll let them do that. They can only activate Blazing Root Walla once per turn, so I'll let them activate 1 and I'll just kill 1 with the Fatal Push. Let's go black, Fatal Push, cast this Blazing Root Walla. Goodbye. Me take 4. Okay, good. Good. Migo. Another Fatal Push. All pass. They can now escape the Ox of Agonis, and my Force of Negation doesn't help me. Our deck having no graveyard hate's kind of awkward, but our deck's plan is to kind of like solidify our game plan before their graveyard starts to matter very much. So that's kind of why we're playing the main board Cling to Dust as well. There's the Ox. We will, I guess we'll just Fatal Push the Flameblade Adept now. Ox comes into play. He's here. We'll give it 1 more top deck. I do believe we've 3-2'd this league. Is that a Detective's Phoenix? Is that a Street Wraith? Yeah, we're good here. I can stack my deck and I can win this game. Okay, so that's a tough loss to the red-black hollowed one deck, but that's not a real deck, so we're not going to sweat losing to that deck too much. After playing this league, the things that I can say, because I played this deck a little bit in paper, now I've played it some on Magic the Gathering Online. If you guys like this deck, I'm happy to do another league with it soon, but can I recommend this deck? I think so. I think this deck is really well positioned, especially post-Nadu. I think this deck might even be good into Nadu for the first half of RCQ season, because you can do a really good job of not letting them sink their teeth into their game plan and go over the top with a Psychic Frog. That said, I haven't actually played the Nadu matchup. That's all speculation. But this deck's bad matchup, we're going to ignore the Red-Black Madness deck because that deck, I believe our opponent finally got their 1 win for their league. No shade to the opponent. Their deck just blows. It's kind of annoying to play against because cards like Burning Inquiry and stuff, played into decks like this who have very specific game plans, you can break up the game plan. But that deck like can't ever beat any of the other decks in the format, like Tribal Flames. I don't know how they're winning there. I don't know how they're ever going to beat like Jeskai Energy. I don't know how they beat that deck. I don't know how they're going to beat any of the energy decks, actually. They're all just too consistent. However, in this matchup, it was pretty good. So ignoring that, the 1 loss we took to the blue-black Murktide deck, I expect that to be what normally happens in that matchup. We are kind of doing the same thing, but they have more threats, and their deck is like just as mana efficient, and they can kind of like deploy their Bowmasters and stuff whenever they want. It's easier to cast Murktide than it is the One Ring, and it's way less of a commitment to cast the Murktide. So I think that any flavor of Murktide, whether it be Frogtide or traditional Murktide or like Grixis Murktide, whatever flavor they're playing, is probably going to be the bad matchup for this deck. And I'd say that the good matchup, based on what I've seen so far, is going to be like Tron decks, Eldrazi decks. And I do believe that this deck might have like a solid to decent matchup into like Jeskai Energy, just because of all the permission and like protect the queen strategy. If you have enough permission and they can never deal with your frog, you do just win the game. Being a ring deck helps a lot too. But that's all I got for you guys today. Hopefully you enjoyed this little 3-2 league. Look forward to some more Paper Magic very shortly. I think the next video is going to be a second pre-modern video because I really love pre-modern. But then I got Travis and Max coming out to shoot some more modern content. And I think we're going to be doing modern for the foreseeable future because we're going into modern RCQ season. But after that, we're going to kind of switch to Pioneer and stuff like that sometimes, just to mix it up. But this is, at the end of the day, mostly a modern channel. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I'll see you next time.